Hey, it's Chris and Brian. I'm Brian, he's Chris, and this is Resolve Technology, and we're going to talk about one of the tools that we use to help aid in spam filtering and phish detection. It's a product called Avanon. It sits in front of Microsoft 365, also Google if you have Gmail, but in most cases, Google is a much better spam filter, so we don't use it quite as much. But Microsoft 365 falls down, even with their advanced spam filtering, falls down a little bit. And this is a nice little crutch, if you will, to help with phishing emails and malware attachments. Chris, you want to talk about that a little
Yeah.
bit?
So, on their website here, they say, it catches a bunch of advanced attacks, 99.9% that both EOP and ATP miss. So that, exchange online protection and then the premium advanced threat protection, which, we've seen that too with Microsoft 365. You got to configure mail flow rules and maybe block certain attachment types. There's a lot of things out of the box that aren't configured with it. But even with configuring it with, like that, we still see some phishing emails able to go through. They're always looking for ways to evade detection. So this is like a nice third party layer, nice to have on top of an existing Microsoft 365 tenant.
Thing we like about it too is when you go into the portal, it works in conjunction with the spam filtering from Microsoft so that you can see, what Microsoft did in terms of the filtering and the steps
Yeah.
it took and the steps that Avanon took. So if one kind of falls down, the other one might pick up the pieces and filter something out.
Well, yeah, it has too. Like what we're starting to realize is it's really good for things like, we're seeing more and more attacks being attempted through Teams, and it also will scan through Teams files and messages. OneDrive, it'll go through OneDrive and SharePoint, but files living there as well, checking for malware. It'll take the file and dump it into like some sandbox it has, and you can actually see it running. They give you a little video clip of it. It's a pretty solid product in my opinion.
Right. And some spam filters, they sit in front of Microsoft 365, but they don't work in conjunction. The way Avanon works is it works through what they call an API, a programming interface that allows it to work in conjunction rather than it's not one or the other. It works in
Right.
tandem, right? So
It
that's an
it hooks
important.
into your existing tenant essentially.
Exactly. Yeah. So
Um, Another thing it does is we're starting to see, at least the way we typically configure it, is if someone sends a zip attachment that's password protected, Exchange can't look through that and scan it. Either can Avanon without the password. So the way it's set up is, you'll get your company splash page. It'll send a message to the user like, you can't open this. You're going to have to supply us with the password so that it can scan the contents before the user opens it. And that leads us to our next point with, if a user clicks on a phishing link, it somehow got through. Avanon will report, like if a user is clicking on any link, really, you'll get a notification. The admins of the tenant will, get notified that so and so clicked on a link in this email here, and you can review the email yourself.
and that's another place, that's an excellent point. That's another place where Microsoft falls down a little bit. They do have some good reporting in there, but this adds even more reporting so your IT people can really look to see what's happening with your email environment. One last point that I want to make, Chris, is at a minimum, we like to see this on CEO, the owner of the company, the
Yeah.
CFO, the accountants, the financial people, because they're usually the biggest targets for phishing. You could start with them and then, you could roll it out to everybody. Ideally, we like it rolled out to everybody, but at a minimum, if you need to save money or whatever, you can,
Yeah.
just roll it out to 5 or 10 or, 15 of your key people and at least reduce your risk, because all this stuff is about reducing risk. We always say to the client, there's nothing that's 100%. If somebody's selling you something that they say it's 100% effective or even close to that, then you need to walk or run the other way. All right, Chris, thank you.
Yeah. Problem.